Hey guys, welcome to the show. Welcome to the process. Today we have a good lineup for you guys. We're going through hot topics from Facebook and just the all around information on cell processing. So stick with us. We will be right back. We're going into a 30-second break and we'll be right back. Hold on and we're out. Hey guys, welcome back. Welcome to the process. Alessandra, how are you doing? How
I
you
am
been? How's your week
fine
going?
on this good Wednesday. Pretty good. A nice little round of interviewing this week, so
Oh,
feeling
interviewing, huh? Very interesting.
very
Interview.
interested. I
That
had
is
to pop
good.
over to the Beyond or was excuse me, Ion SPD to get my interview follow up sheet.
Oh yeah, Ion SPD is very helpful. I speak to Salinja often, especially when it comes to interview topics and advice. So, guys, please check out Ion SPD. It's one of the best resources you could find presenting to SPD, sterile processing interviews and etiquette and information you could find. So, check out Ion SPD. Um, I'll put a little link down later on in the show. Alessandra, do you have any topics you want to get into right now?
Absolutely, duh, but duh. So I wanted to first just thank everybody for tuning in to the live this weekend when we were out at the Sean East Summer Jam on Saturday. Got a lot of good feedback, so I appreciate that, and I got an opportunity to learn about a couple things that weren't on my radar,
Hmm.
like the micro laws and the FIPA laws that are up for voting in fall of 2022. So doing some research on that and excited to bring that to you guys.
Very interesting. Very interesting.
Indeed.
So, I think I might try and get into the news early.
Okay.
What do you think?
Let's check out the news.
So, let me go into a quick commercial and then um, we'll be back in a second. So, guys, from Becca's Hospital Review. So, there are a few things going on in terms of the vaccine, in terms of nurses wanting the vaccine. So, many nurses are now in support of the vaccine. I'm going to read out a couple statistics here, percentages that were given in terms of nurses being okay with the vaccine. Most nurses who have gotten the vaccine recommend others getting the vaccine also. So let me go through this. Nearly 59% of respondents said from a survey of 4,912 nurses, 59% of respondents said they support the vaccine mandates um, put in place by employers. Um, 84% of nurses said they would get a booster dose if recommended. 81% of respondents are very comfortable with recommending the vaccine to others. 66% of nurses who responded said the FDA approval would not change the current stance on the vaccine. 58% of respondents said they have ongoing questions regarding immunity and how long the vaccine's effectiveness lasts.
Mm.
Questions about whether additional boosters will be needed was the second most selected response. Among those who were not vaccinated, 84% selected not enough information about long term effects of the vaccine.
Mm.
And lastly, 66% of respondents said they feel they were getting enough information on the vaccine. So that's kind of a little eye opener. I thought it would be more the other way in terms of not getting the vaccine based on the FDA's response so far. But right now, it seems to be very favorable in terms of nurses recommending the vaccine. Alessandra, what's your take on that?
Why do you ask me these things?
What's it?
I definitely, I mean, I think it's an evolving conversation. Like, I'm going to take a very political standpoint. It's an evolving conversation. We've seen different attitudes towards it. When the shots were coming out, people were really nervous, didn't feel like you had enough time to be tested. But most of the facilities started rolling out late December. So we're now, almost a year into this. Tones are changing. More and more people are getting the COVID vaccine. So I think it's only natural that we're going to see people become more and more comfortable with taking it over time.
Very true. Very politically correct.
Thank
Yes,
you.
yes, 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 yes.
Yeah.
So I will go into the feel good story later on.
All right.
What do you have on your table, on your plate right now?
So I was reading through LinkedIn earlier and saw a post regarding physicians' opposition to the CMS proposed rules for 2022. So they were basically discussing that they don't feel like the CMS proposed rules actually focus on the right drivers that will indicate whether or not patients will get the correct care, and that we're kind of playing a game of cat and mouse by withholding payments, but also wanting exceptional and timely care. So it was interesting to read from the spine surgeon's perspective. We could post that link down in the chat below as well. But
Okay, yeah,
essentially, it read as if they were saying, you can't expect for us to work and not be paid, right? But that's a conversation that we're all having right now. We want to receive compensation for the work that we're doing,
true. Very true.
right?
Very true.
And then in the group today, in the process group today, I saw a post about the sterile processing technician, which I thought was pretty cool, and I saw this going around on LinkedIn as well. So I'm just gonna read it here. But Veronica Holder shared it in our group today, and it says, "Say it loud, sterile processing professional. Where did those surgical sets come from? When a loved one or a friend are preparing for surgery, have you ever heard them say, 'I really hope the sterile processing techs at that hospital have a great accuracy rate. I hope the instruments are processed correctly. I sure hope the equipment at SPD is all up and functional.' I don't think so. Most people have no idea of where the instruments come from. They just know that they are available for the surgeon during the surgical procedure. It's easy to remember and acknowledge those you can come in contact with during a surgical procedure. Just keep in mind some of us work behind the scenes. The work we do is so critical, it touches every patient that enters an operating room, the labor and delivery unit, the wound center, or even some urgent clinics. We love what we do. We pay attention to every little detail of our work, and we are passionate and dedicated. Not many know who we are, what we do, what our job entails, or even where our department is located. How could you know if we don't make our voices heard, if we don't share our knowledge and dedication to this industry? Share your knowledge, spread the word about sterile processing. Tell your family and friends what SPD does and how important this role is. Talk to your niece and nephew about this industry and how you can grow in it. Say it loud and say it proud. We are sterile processing professionals."
Oh my goodness, that's excellent,
All right.
excellent, excellent. I like that. That's from Veronica.
Yeah, Veronica shared that in the group today. I also saw it on LinkedIn. going around. So I thought that was nice.
Hmm. And that's kudos to Veronica for sharing that. I really appreciate you sharing that to the group, and hopefully our Soul Person family sees it and recognizes you for posting that uplifting message. Thank you so much.
Yeah, it's good. We definitely do need, and I mean, I think that's the goal, right? Part of the show is to make sure we get information out, not just for the text, but for everyone to understand what we do and how critical it is and how we impact each other. So I thought that was cool.
Um, so we have Mona. Who's that in the comments there? We have Mona Davis. Thank you for joining. Thank
Hi,
you for watching
Mona.
the show. I appreciate it. So I will go into, give me a few seconds. I will go into the feel good story of the week. And I'm a little, so I will just give the basics of this uplifting topic here. So, guys, Nintendo is partnering with nonprofits to provide video games for hospitalized kids. They've been doing that for a while now, and this is courtesy of Good News Network. So, Starlight Nintendo Switch gaming stations have been making their way to hospitals and healthcare facilities across the country. Each station comes preloaded with more than 25 games from Super Mario Party to Legend of Zelda, Breath of the Wild. I don't really play video games that much. I am way back, way back. Um, so the device can be completely cleaned with disinfectant to meet the hospital's strict safety and infection protocols, and includes a mounted playback monitor that can roll anywhere in the hospital. So basically, like a wow. So children can enjoy some of their favorite Nintendo video games from the comfort of their hospital beds or in the playroom with a group of other kids. So thank you to Nintendo for doing that. Um, that's I wish I had that when I was in the hospital as a kid. Um, I'll be there a little longer. But thank you. That's our feel good story. So
That
Nintendo's,
is nice.
yeah, yeah.
I was in and out of the hospital a lot when I was a kid because I have bad asthma.
Mm.
And that was one of my favorite parts of being in the pediatric unit was they had an old Nintendo, the original,
Oh, nice.
and they had like Duck Hunt and Super Mario Brothers, and they had a VCR, and they had like all the old movies. So I knew at least if I had to go for a couple of days, I was gonna be able to have a little bit of fun. Yeah, so that's nice. It's always good to have something for your
That's that's
kids.
definitely a positive. What else you have going on in the world?
You know, mostly just working on this mentorship now. So, going to shout out Cylindra again. I'm scrolling through the group and she has a couple links on mentorship, but it's something that I've been um trying to participate in as well as a leader, and so I'm really excited about being able to work on the reprocessing rebranded group. I know
Hmm.
a lot of the class is getting started this week, so it's exciting.
It is exciting. And kudos to the moderator. Should I say moderator, instructor? What should I say? The instructor. and it's a very positive endeavor. I really appreciate it being thought of and brought out to SPD, several processing professionals. So thank you.
Yeah,
And Alessandra, keep me informed on how the class is going.
absolutely, absolutely. I'll keep you up to date. I'm excited.
Definitely, definitely. So, so guys, I'm always trying to bring a little something new to the show. So, um, I have to do a blooper reel eventually because I have bloopers all the time. One of these days, I have to definitely put in a blooper reel. So so let's go. What else is hot? I see.
We have a oh nice changing the view
see.
there.
So this is my workstation, and just giving you guys a little look as to how I moderate the show, and just a little insight in case you guys are wondering. Just a little backdoor look. So if you like it, let me know. If you don't like it, I will take my camera off.
They could be cool if you have like a product to review or something like that. That'd be a
Yeah.
nice nice.
So saying that, I do have this will be part of my setup for my product reviews. I will be reviewing products that we use within stellar processing, and this will be one of my views apart from my front facing view. So just so you guys will be seeing this a little more often. I have my own cell phone. This is my mouse slash pad slash keyboard, and this is my little notepad here. We have my mic and my mouse. So this is my little setup. If you guys are wondering, if you guys have any questions or want to start up something similar, I'm not an expert. I just like dabbling in these sorts of things. So um, hit me up, send me a question, a comment if you're interested on how I make all this work. So let me switch back up. Boom, boom, boom. Yeah,
Very nice.
very, very nice. I hope so, guys. Just another view, and I will be doing reviews, and I will be revolving those views so that you guys could actually see the products that I'm talking about without raising them up to the screen or making it a little more cumbersome in terms of presenting a fluent show. So, and though these shows will be live, and that's my attention to detail segment from the process. So I will be um, live on these when reviewing. So
A detail.
yeah, so and
Saw a
attention to
question
details.
about that in one of the groups today. A technician was being a little hard on themselves because they had forgotten the same instrument out of the same type of kit twice, and it was just like it happens. Like, don't cry, don't be too upset. It does happen. But I had a manager once that made an attention to detail binder. And prior to that, I wasn't a big fan of the picture binders because I was just like, just learn
Right,
it.
right.
But she made a picture binder and it was just all the like, one of a kind, one off things that only came through every once in a while. And you could go and flip through that book and find it and be like, okay, now I can wrap this and make sure that I get it right back to the correct department. But I think an attention to detail segment is going to be fun.
Yeah, and I have a few products on hand that we regularly use within solar processing. Um, and I find some of the information that I will bring out will be definitely some things we know, but we don't actually know that we that why we use this product, so what the IFUs actually say. So we kind of just generally use it because others have been using it in a certain way, but we some products we do not actually read the IFUs. We just assume like everybody knows this is how it's used and this is what we do. So certain things we use on a regular basis, I'll be going through the IFUs and actually how they should be used within the department.
That'll be good. We get so hyper focused on the IFUs for instruments, but sometimes we do forget the products or even the safety data sheets. Like
Hmm.
when's the last time we popped open our safety data sheets and really read them before we brought a product into the hospital?
Yeah, and the picture book, I think the first time I saw that, I felt the same way you felt. Why
Mhm.
would you have that? Why
Like,
don't everybody
you
know
did?
that? But then, if you're a new employee, that definitely helps.
Oh yeah,
Definitely helps. Especially, okay, so if you do not have a tracking system, that definitely helps. Like
it helps.
if you're on the count sheet days, you're back in the count sheet, the file cabinets. If you're still using that, the photos, because especially if management changes a lot within that facility or that department, then you have different names. The new person coming in might call one item certain name, and then you have the old name. But then if you have the photo, you're like, oh, that's what you're talking about.
Yeah,
That's the item,
it's
and
like
then
ah.
that and then you have those one of a kind or those single packed items. Some places have not created trays or contain
Hmm.
like trays for like single items. So
Yeah,
some of those items are pill packed on a regular basis on turnaround. So there is no count sheet for them. So the only way you know is if you encounter it.
right.
Yeah,
You just know.
yeah. If you encounter it previously, you might just leave it on the shelf and say, "Hey, that's just that's just a funny looking faucet. They don't really need that." But then the senior person would come and say, "No, that's Doctor Phillips' special faucet. He can't do without." And he's gonna
Shout
flip
out
with
to the
you.
vets. They come in aggressive and hot every time.
if, if he doesn't see it. So the picture books are definitely a good way for new techs and new managers to learn what are the items that are not really focused on the department, but are definitely needed on a turnaround basis for physicians to do their job.
Oh yeah. She
So.
definitely changed my mind on the picture book after a while. After having my own experience of having to run and grab it and finding what I know, I was like, "Ooh, wait a minute.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe
Mm-hmm.
this is such a bad idea after all."
Yeah. And I'm getting up there, so I definitely need a refresher every now and then.
You know, definitely. And it's good for like downtime periods too, when you really don't have a lot going on and you can just kind of flip through your clinic book or your attention to detail book and just refresh
Mhm.
yourself on the stuff that you just don't see every day.
Shout out to Leslie.
Hi, Leslie.
Leslie's the bomb, and shout out to Marie, also the
Hey,
bomb.
Marie.
Thank you guys for tuning in. Today is one
Appreciate
of
it.
those days. One of those days.
Let's
Um,
talk about it. What kind of day is it
trying
today?
to get a lot of stuff done. Whew. I'm on the interview circuit too, so
Hmm.
so it's all stressful now. Stressful times. Stressful times. So
What's got you stressed out about interview times?
um, the hardest part is choosing. People talk about being offered positions, but I look at it as choosing where you want to go because not every job offer is the right job offer for you.
Correct.
So if you simply just want to move, you could do that, but you may have regrets in the long run. So, my way of looking at it is that you're interviewing the job and you're finding a fit for yourself, not trying to fit in with a facility.
Right.
So, my whole my way of looking at it is that am I picking the right facility for me, or am I making a mistake? So that's a
Hmm.
stressful part. Or am I doing my due diligence? You know.
Yeah,
So.
definitely. Because I mean, depending on why you're looking for a new position, that could determine, what you're looking for. Like sometimes I've had employees that are strictly looking for places because they're closer to their homes. So that was the biggest factor for them. If they got an interview at a place close to their home, that was enough. And they could deal with anything after that. So definitely going into it like knowing your whys, and that's why I enjoyed Cylinder's. It's like an interview debrief. Um and being able to feel that out right after my interview and just kind of get a clear idea of what I thought about what I heard versus, how did I do? Right?
Right.
How did I do? How did I present? Like I felt very confident about that, but like you said, like paying attention to the information that I heard and is that a place that I feel like will be a good fit for me, and why? Like, what am I looking for? Am I looking for a certain type of camaraderie? Am I looking for a certain type of technology? Like maybe some of us wouldn't be comfortable to go to a facility that doesn't currently have a tracking system.
Mhm.
Some of us may see that and get really excited and go, "Oh my God, it's an opportunity to put in a tracking system." So it really does depend on a lot of different factors. Oh, thank you, Marie. Marie says, should be the right fit for the candidate too. The culture has to be something that works for you on a personal level. Absolutely. I agree with that so much. Because we forget, like, that's where you're going to spend the majority of your time once you get that job.
Yeah, yeah,
So, you're going to want to know if you feel comfortable and confident about being in that space.
yeah, and the thing is, so you may want the challenge in the future, but then you have to look at what kind of challenge you're getting into, So sometimes you may like, oh, I could fix that. I could get into this, or I could work with that, or that's not that bad. And then you get the smoke and mirror interview. Yeah, look at it. It's nice. It's clean, but you get the walkthrough at like 10 a.m. when nothing is down here. So you
Do
get
you
the
trying to interview them at 3:15 when they doing shift change and
yo. So
ain't no more
okay,
sets up from the first cases?
right. So you get the 3 p.m. interview, but it's like, no, no, we kind of busy right now. You can't really we can schedule a walkthrough another time. So then you get the
Do you
10
think
a.m.
that's important that you should try to do a walkthrough if you can?
Definitely 100% every time. Every time I always, 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 always ask for a walkthrough because I want to see what I'm getting into. You could tell me we have roses in the corner, we have flowers, we have trees, we have bushes, we have nice green grass, and everybody's just dancing. It's like I'm gone with the wind, and everybody's kumbaya. And then they give you the cliche, we're family, but families have disagreements sometimes. You know, I've heard that too many times, and then like, yeah, everybody doesn't agree, but we work through it, and so
Right?
you kind of have to wade through, those little cliches and all that other stuff, and find out exactly what's going on.
Yeah, you
So
do.
I have done drive-bys at facilities, random times, just ask people, hey, where's sterile processing? Just walk through, and then, hey, you work in sterile processing? How is it in there? I didn't really introduce myself. I said, hey, just looking to see what's going on in the department. I'm interested in coming to your department, and nobody has no idea what my role might be, or if I'm applying or anything. So
Well,
then I get the
stealth on
real
'em, huh?
right. So I get the real lowdown and like the whole background of the what the manager did and what the supervisor did and what the text
The
did and
text
what the
be ready.
budget.
And it
I'm like,
said,
oh,
well, sit
I'm
your
like,
ass.
okay, wow, okay, all right. So they never did anything about that. Oh, so that's not fixed. So what about the washing? So I get a whole rundown, because people like to talk. So especially if you get a listening ear,
Right, gotta
if
listen
you know
here.
how to ask, people will say what's on their mind. So I've had conversations before interviews, getting the rundown of the facility, um, how it really functions, and then I go to the interview, and then I know what questions to ask because I heard it from the employees themselves. So then
Mhm.
I kind of come in informed. Hey, what's going on? How's the infrastructure now? If you say everything is great, and then someone just told me you down two washers, um, then I know there's a disconnect there somewhere. So
Slight
um,
disconnect.
yeah,
But I mean, everybody, it's an interview, right? So everybody's trying to put their best foot forward.
right, right.
But it
But
is, it's a challenge.
yeah, so always ask for a walkthrough, regardless if you're going to be in the department, around the department. If that's going to be your main home base, ask for a walkthrough. Even if your office is 2 miles away in another building, you want to know how the department is functioning. So always ask for a walkthrough when going through to an SPD cell processing interview. And then also ask for a walkthrough to the OR too. I remember one of my positions way back when I asked for a walkthrough to the OR, and as soon as I walked in there, I met a rep I knew. He was like, "Hey, Denard, hey, what's up? Hey, make sure you hire this guy." And and I got the job. So
Got it.
you never know who you meet. Um,
Yeah. Doing some light networking, huh?
Yeah, it's a nice, like always be nice to your reps because you never know where you're gonna meet them. Because that was one of my
Ooh,
good buddy reps who I didn't really know him that well, but I always treated him well. And as soon as he saw me, he just lit up and was like, "Oh, that's my, that's my one of my best customers." Blah blah blah.
right.
So
We forget
so
sometimes the SPD is a small world,
hmm.
and there's so many of us that are moving between facilities. So
Yeah. So yeah, just be mindful of
definitely
that. Be
not
nice to your reps, even if because the reps talk too. So
trips.
reps will definitely say that facility is the worst one, or this one is the worst one. You don't want to work here. You just want to be in and out. Don't take that contract.
If
So
happens to me, they be giving the business.
yeah, so you want to make sure you treat everyone fairly too. So
Absolutely.
just keep that in mind. Yeah, that's my little spiel
But,
on
how do you feel
interviews.
about peer interviews? Do you think that they're valuable? Do you think everybody should have them?
Um, Even in terms of interview, having the staff from the department interview.
Yeah, having at least across, a couple of leaders, a couple of technicians, or even some of
So
your peri-op staff.
I think from experience, um, the staff need to be educated on what to look for before the interview, because a lot of sometimes a couple of interviews I've been to, um, the if you're uneducated on how to conduct the interview, you'll ask the wrong questions.
Yeah.
I have walked into interviews where a staff member comes in, "How old are you? Where are you from?" And that's totally not good etiquette.
Right? You definitely have
So
to do that.
so and that was for OR position. So and the lady didn't know what not to say, so she just gave out all the
Yeah.
information. She just like, "Hey, I'm
Right.
20 something. I'm from so and so.
Yeah.
Um, I have this kid that like, a lot of personal stuff."
Yeah.
So she didn't know what not to say. So she just answered all the questions. And, you definitely need to educate the interviewee on, no, am I saying that right? The
Yeah.
interviewer on what to ask and what they're looking for and what not to ask,
Right.
which is also very important.
I definitely
So
agree with
peer to
that.
peer interviews, definitely you need some coaching beforehand because you don't want anybody giving a bad impression of the how should I say, the knowledge base of your employees. I mean,
Oh yeah.
you don't that misrepresented, especially in an interview. That may not be their strong point. That their strong point may be on the floor. They may be the best technicians on the floor, but away from that space, they may not function. In a manner that reflects what the department wants to show on the outside. So you definitely want to know who you're asking to go to those interviews
Yeah.
and the type of questions. At least give them a guideline. Hey, you ask these 5 questions, or here are 10 questions. Ask 3 or 4 or 5. If you're comfortable with asking all 10, go ahead. But I think guidelines are definitely important in terms of peer-to-peer interviews or
I'm a
any.
big fan of having guidelines. I think even just so that you are consistently interviewing in the same manner, as a just so you're not veering so far off and you're kind of vetting your incumbent the same way. But definitely, I agree. You do have to do a little bit of prep work with the staff and even supervisors if they've never done, anyone really that hasn't done an interview before, because there are certain questions and certain topics that are off limits, and especially from a human resources perspective, you don't want to be crossing any of the lines of protected classes or things of that nature. So it's good, but I do like to, at least from my experience, like I've had positive and negative experiences with peer interviews. I've definitely had the interviews where you could tell that the technicians were forced to be there and they didn't really want to be there. They didn't know what to ask. They didn't really seem interested. And then at the opposite end, I've had technicians that were really on top of it. They wanted to grill that person that was coming in. They wanted to make sure that they were a good fit. And I can say, as a manager, the times that I've done peer interviews with my staff, it's always been helpful for me as well because it's given me an insight into what's important to them. So, when I'm looking for a technician, I may be looking for certain characteristics, but my technicians had a whole different set of
Mhm.
behaviors that they were checking on. They wanted to know, if they were familiar with Synthes. They wanted to know, are you going to pick it up if we call for overtime? Are you the type of person that's going to stay? Are you, this and that and the other? So it can be used properly, but it can also be cumbersome.
Mhm.
So
So
I
we have,
saw a couple of comments pop
yeah.
up.
I'll go back to the first comment from Leslie.
So I appreciate the facility that allows you to shadow ahead of making a decision. Yeah, it is nice when you can. I especially try to make sure that I offer it to take you through the department as best I can. If I can get you bunnied up and take you through, I want to do
Hmm.
that.
Um, One facility actually scheduled a separate day for me to come on and just simply do a walkthrough. So that
Mm,
was nice. So you could always, if the specific day of the interview doesn't work, you could always schedule at that point, schedule maybe a day during the week or the next week or before that decision is made for hiring. That hey, can I come in?
yeah,
I just ask the question, can I come in for a separate like from 10 to 12 or 3 to 4 or something to they'll probably give you the most beneficial time for them, like
yeah,
maybe a day it's not that busy,
yeah.
so
The
you would come
time.
in and get a full walkthrough, see the OR team and the SPD team, and just walk through and see how things flow on a daily basis. So definitely ask for that, and that's it doesn't have to be on the same day. You could always schedule that for another day if the time constraints, because sometimes you have multiple interviews on one day, but your lead tech or your supervisors could always facilitate the walkthrough. The manager or the person interviewing doesn't have to be there at that point. So you could always delegate that out to somebody else.
Mm.
I mean, if you're not afraid of getting um, the person interviewing getting more information than
Hey,
you would
hey,
like, but because during a walkthrough you get all the information, even more than you want. So
absolutely.
yeah, so
I mean, I've
definitely.
definitely experienced technicians where we've peer interviewed and we've toured them, and they decided that it wasn't the place for them. Or vice versa,
Mm,
where you have folks come through and they're like, "Oh yeah, this is exactly what I was looking for,"
right.
you know. But like one of the places that I was at, when you came into the department, there was a door that went directly outside. Like you opened it and it was all outside, and
Huh?
I had yes, and I had a technician that was like, "Mm, nope." So it's good. It's helpful. It's helpful.
Yeah.
Like Marie was saying, you want to make sure it's a good fit for you too. And those may be you may see certain things that are like red flags to you.
So Marie says we do our let me read that from here. We do our interviews around 1 to 2ish, and then the job shadow is after 3 p.m.
Okay, Marie said we finna show you when that's
So
party
yeah,
time.
right. So we want to see what's really going on.
Don't come back here telling us it was all quiet and
Right.
nice when you was here at 7 a.m.
Mhm. So so that's good. I like that. I like that.
Yeah,
I like
that's
that.
nice. That
So
way it's just like you knock it all down, everybody gets to see it. And because it's good feedback for you too as a leader, because you're definitely
yeah,
going to be watching that person, seeing what do they
yeah.
notice. It's always curious to me, what do you pick up as you come through the system. Like I know I say it on here all the time. Like I'm a big fan of creating environments where folks are encouraged to speak up and point out, nitpick. I tell people all the time, nitpick everything you see because I want to know and I want to
Yeah,
keep it on the top of my mind.
exactly.
But when you have someone come through and they're just kind of staring at the ceiling and not really paying attention, it's like, okay, maybe that's not the right fit for us.
Hmm. Hmm. And then it's also where the interviewee is coming from too. You could be coming from a facility with 6 washers, 5 sterilizers, 4 low temperature sterilizers, 10 workstations, and then you come to a place with 3 sterilizers, 2 washers, and then like, oh, no Sonic. Then you're
Right?
like, how do you
Different.
all? So
It's
you
different.
Looking like how does this work? Where do we go? Where do we put them after we get them there? So
right? Like
like
certain things aren't
doesn't
gonna
work.
work. Like you can't tell me y'all got Da Vinci, and then I come down here and I don't see a
Right.
Sonic. I might not be up for that task.
Yeah. There are some prep and pack areas with no, I would call it, no racks for storage. Put it
Hmm.
like that. So there is no, hey, we're gonna leave this for the next shift the next day. It has to be done. There's no other way. No storage, auto rack,
Yeah.
general rack. There's none of that. And I've been to departments where there's an auto rack that's always full. There's a general rack. There's a spine rack that's always filled with stuff. So
Yeah.
um, depends on where you're from. You might walk into a culture shock as to what how the departments are laid out. So.
Hmm.
Um,
And I think that's good. I think it just makes you a stronger technician when you have had the opportunity to work in multiple environments. That way, you just learn a little better how to adapt. Better
mhm.
adapt. So Marie is saying a student format is a great tool to guide the peer interview. We focus on behavior-based questions are wonderful to get to know each other. Absolutely. 100%. So I have a little pocket guide at this point that I've been just kind of carrying with me and adding questions to and taking questions off. It's probably like I don't know, it's probably like 20 pages now. But I usually just I sectioned it off into behavior sections. So questions about how you manage your time and attendance, questions about how you manage your performance, your growth, questions about where you see your career going in the next couple of years. Those are all things that I may ask, and so I'll just kind of list the questions there. And especially if I do a peer interview, I will print out a couple copies of that, and I will let the technicians pick questions from those categories that are important to them. So that way they don't have to guess about what to ask, or if their question of the way they're asking it is appropriate, but they can easily just flip through that guide to find the section that's important to them and ask the questions from there.
Hmm. Very interesting. I need a copy of that book.
Absolutely. I could publish a copy for the process crew. That's not a problem.
Yeah. You
Maybe
might
I can
want
get it pushed up on Ion SPD.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. So what's the next? Who responded? Leslie. Don't love what? Don't love my department at its worst. Huh? What?
She said, "Don't love my department at its worst. You don't deserve it at its best."
Oh,
Let
okay.
it don't come in here
Then maybe,
looking at us
you know,
like it's less than.
but then you just judge it like you're like, oh man, they can't
Right?
explain that. They can't explain that out yet. It's like, you
Right.
know,
Well,
it's like
you
8
know,
a.m. They still have shows from last night. It's
we
like
do
9
see a
a.m.
little bit of that haughtiness sometimes.
Yeah. It's
Acting
all
like you don't stink, as they say.
it all depends on the culture too. It all depends on the
Very
culture.
much. Very
Yeah.
much,
So
because
if you're
you
accustomed
definitely
to,
shouldn't be walking into a space thinking that it's gonna be,
yeah.
pristine, no issues. I mean, if it was that beautiful and wonderfully running, they wouldn't be looking for you right now.
Yeah. So if you're from a spot where um everything is done by a certain time, like all cases are done, case cards are emptied, everything is through the washer, and by 10 p.m. you're chilling on your phones, you know, and then you walk into a place is constantly cases coming down 1 a.m., 2 a.m., 6 a.m. You have transplants going on, you have harvest going on. And you're
Hmm.
like, I don't think that's for me. So you
Yeah.
kind of have to definitely ask those clarifying questions as to what's going on. When do you end the surgery, or does surgery ever end?
Does it ever end?
So, and then you have those, you have some facilities, you have first cases needing some special orthopedic instruments, and then you have a trauma that gets used at 2 a.m. You need that turnaround for 7.
Yeah.
So you definitely have to ask those questions, so you won't be walking into a place you stressed, especially if you're walking into that overnight shift, because that's where a lot of the stress is, which I don't think a lot of people focus on that a lot. 11 to 7 does a lot
No, we be
within
sleep.
that time. What?
I said we be sleep. We don't. Let's just tell the truth.
No, 11 to 7 does a lot.
11 to 7 does, like you said, much more than people give it credit for. Most
Yeah.
most 11 to 7 shifts are doing all the testing for the department,
Mhm.
to the point where sometimes I feel like it's even debilitating to the other shifts, because if they have
Mhm.
equipment breakdown in the middle of the day, suddenly nobody knows what to do.
Right.
So I try to switch that stuff up if I can. But I mean, after they do all of that, then they have to play the cleanup crew, get ready for the first cases, get ready
Mhm.
for the clinics. It can be overwhelming.
It's especially trying to. So I always put it this way because I worked at a couple all 24-hour facilities. I always put it this way. You don't want someone putting a complex tray together at 2 a.m. when you could have done it at 8 p.m. You know. So that's my whole thing. Like, no matter what their job title is, how long they've been doing it, you don't want somebody because your body is not meant to be up that late. You know.
Well, I mean, I'm not that I'm arguing with you that your body's not meant to be up that late, but typically what I find with my veteran night shift staff is
Mm.
this is their lifestyle. Like
Yeah, yeah,
they've
yeah.
been working
Mhm.
nights, they've worked it into a program to where this is what they do.
Yeah,
And
sure, sure,
so I
sure.
don't feel like it's a question of, well, I won't say it's not a question, but I don't feel like it's a prevailing issue that like night shift is asleep, or tired
No,
or unable to get it out. It's just it's a different that's a different breed right there, folks that live on night shift.
I know, but there's what I'm saying is I rather if you have the opportunity to get those trays assembled,
You should as soon as possible.
don't leave that for the night shift where that
Mm-mm.
heavy burden for the first cases and those complex trays are on that particular time
Yeah, no. I
because
think everybody's goal should be to clear out as much as possible so that the next shift doesn't have as much as possible, because you never know what's going to happen. I mean, imagine being night shift, evening shift decided they were going to leave me two complex trays because they did six complex trays. And then at 2 o'clock in the morning, I get an emergency add on. Now you just set me
Mhm.
up for failure. And that wasn't your intention, but you just weren't thinking as far ahead as you thought you were. Right? Because you're not
Sure.
thinking about the fact that we're 24 hours for a reason.
Should so there's a question. Should the scheduler be under sterile processing?
Should the scheduler
Yeah.
for the OR?
Yeah.
No,
No?
unequivocally, no.
No? You don't
Should the
think so?
scheduler? No, for what? Why would the scheduler need to come from sterile processing? I don't understand that.
I know.
But I do think that scheduling needs to take a little more consideration for sterile processing, but also that's not typically scheduling's responsibility either. That's those directives for scheduling are usually coming from either your OR manager, your peri-op director, your physician offices. There's a lot that goes into scheduling that people don't aren't
No, I
aware of.
mean emergency scheduling. Like you get those emergency those they're not actually emergencies, but they get put on anyway.
I,
Um
I don't think again. I don't think it's something that goes through SPD. I think it's something where you should have a process set up that includes your conception of SPD. So an example of this is, for instance, with C arms, right? We have certain cases that we can only do with the visualization of the C arm, but those are really expensive pieces of equipment. So even large ORs usually only have one or two, and you're bouncing them back and forth between procedures. As a scheduler, that's something that I have to consider before I put a case on that needs a C arm. I got to look at my schedule and see how many cases and procedures am I already using that I have to bounce my C arm back and forth. So it's a process, right? It's not that the scheduler is being considerate of radiation, or really just being really worried about them. They're trying to balance out their cases based off these things they know they need. And so what I would say is just I don't think that there's a heavy consideration for sterile processing in that way. Like, if am I gonna think before I add on a total knee, do I have a complete system of total knee trays before I add this on? Let me call down and find out. Or if there, maybe I have a tracking system or some way that I'm aware of that. I don't see that as much. I think it's coming more into play as people get um like these daily huddles together more and more, where SPD can start talking about what challenges, like maybe if you knew that morning that of the 5 washers that we have, 2 are down, that might change your, your consideration about an add-on.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah. You have a point. You convinced me.
Not trying to convince you, but I do think that we could do better. Like as far as Perry Up and SPD getting together and having some key
Yeah, we definitely.
indicators about add-ons, about turnovers. Like should we add that on if it's not an emergency right now and I don't have any of those trades later left? Should we wait until I have them ready? Should I, go ahead and do a fast turnover? How do you decide? But I definitely deciding at the time of the case is too late. Like
Yeah,
we really need to put that process in place.
yeah. And I've been to facilities who have it down to a T, and they know, hey, we have two. This
Right?
case is starting at this time. You have one down. Where is it in the process? It's clean. By the time it gets sterile and
And there
cool,
are tools for that.
and then
Like you do that in Epic. They call it conflict scheduling.
mhm,
Where like that C arm situation, you could put that into Epic and say we only have two.
right.
So when those two cases get added and the C arms are used, you will then get an alert for the next one that you post to say, all right, you're already over. So now I gotta start doing mental math.
Hmm. Hmm. That's good. But Epic
Mhm.
is expensive as heck, though. So
Epic is expensive. Epic is expensive. I mean, that more so for you folks that already have it, right? If you have, definitely not suggesting you go out and purchase an EHR system just so that you can do conflict scheduling, but those functions are there, and a lot of the tracking systems have that as well, where you can factor in the quantity that you have versus how many are being requested.
yeah, and don't forget, Epic does have its glitches too. So
Hmm.
don't go selling Epic like it's perfect. Okay.
Nope. Nope. I've worked with quite a few. I don't think any of them are perfect. I don't think there's a
Yeah.
perfect tracking system. I don't think, they're all tools that we can use.
Yeah.
That's about
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. I don't know. I think did Epic have an upgrade recently or nothing? Because the one I'm familiar with had some issues. But anyway, I digress. Epic, go get tried out. If it works for you, good. If it doesn't, do without it. All right. I'm not getting paid or sponsored by Epic. So um, Epic,
Ah,
hit me up. Um,
no.
so
Ah.
what else we have going on? There's
Marie said make a podcast or a chat out of the
yeah,
interview guy. We can definitely do that. Absolutely.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And
And then
Leslie, those complex trades are typically one of a kind and should be priority. Absolutely. Right? Because that's a whole different conversation. We're talking about leaving down a set because it's complicated and I don't really feel like doing it. And then I have 6 more on the shelf, or leaving down a complex set and there's only one more on the shelf.
but then okay, so what's priority? Is priority the tray is needed for
Ooh.
the first case? The tray is marked priority. The trays that need to get turned around because you have two sets or you have one set. So what's
You ready?
actually priority?
You ready?
What? Yeah.
All of the above. All of the
So
above, right?
right.
Priority is a moving target.
Yeah.
So, priority could be the one of a kind trays because they're one of a kind. Priority
Mhm.
could be first cases because it's 8 p.m. and we still have 2 cases that are not ready to go.
Mhm.
Priority could be simply because it's an implant kit and we don't have a lot of those, and maybe we're a level one trauma center and we need to keep that implant kit up. It it could
How
turn
do you
into loners because they just dropped them off,
right? How do
right?
you how do you prioritize priorities?
A few ways. I think the first way you prioritize priorities is based off of when they're needed, right? So like for instance, in that scenario that we just set up, if I'm that tech that's on the floor, I've got trays that I still need for 730 cases I know that I need. I've got loaner trays that are down that I know that I need, but maybe those are for a second case and then somebody just came in here with one. That's gonna change my workflow. And I think it's It's one of the things that gets missed if we are cherry picking trays, because if we're cherry picking trays and we're not um putting them up based on their need, you are opening yourself up for failure, because as soon as any one of those drivers change, maybe the case gets moved up, maybe additional loaners get dropped off, maybe the sterilizer fails, and now that first load that I thought I had done just became the first load again.
Mhm.
And all those spaces where I wasn't giving it 100%, now I've created a crisis because I wasn't giving it everything that I got. If the technicians that had time to do those trays at 8 had got them done, they wouldn't have been in the sterilizer at 2 a.m. when the power went out and it failed. And but you could do that all day. So priority is a constant mental game, and it's why we like to see supervisors and leads on the floor, because not everybody can be playing that mental gymnastics at the same time, right? Like if I'm in Deacon Tam, I can't be focused on the fact that the sterilizer just went down, or I can't be concerned about the fact that the loaners just came in. I just have to get it done. So being able to have that central person that can kind of be that human computer for you to say, okay, we got 30 kits that are technically priority, but the first 10 I need in an hour and a half. So guess what? Just move to the front of the line. Leslie commented, it's the one that you don't do that the OR wants at 2 a.m. Absolutely, right? Because it's not to say that the shift before wasn't doing any work, like they weren't producing any kits, but it definitely will, it might get painted that way if that kit gets called for and it's not ready. And it's like, it's been down since 9:30 this morning. Why isn't it up? Well,
Exactly, exactly.
a
And
couple
then
things.
and then that's why an informed leadership team um comes in
Oh,
to help
absolutely.
help the OR and understand why a certain tray is down.
Yeah.
Hey, we couldn't get to this tray because we're working with the loaners
Hmm.
for the first case.
Yeah.
So
Because I
something
mean,
had
it's
to get.
like being out at McDonald's, right? You put your order in, and then 15 minutes goes by. You're not sitting outside going, man, I bet they're having problems with the oven and such and such is taking a longer break and they're just doing the best they can, but they can't get it out. Right? You're not, that's not you. Like, you're sitting there going, I put this order in 15 minutes ago and I don't understand why it's not ready. Like the OR is going the same, they can give you the same information. We dropped that tray off in the decontam at 9:30 this morning. Please help me understand why at 8 p.m. it is still not ready. Well, especially when you told me all the time sterilization is a 3.5 hour process or a 4 hour process. Right? Because they are definitely going to count. If I tell them that ETA is an hour and it's an hour and 1 minute,
Hmm.
they're going to want to know why it's
what
taking so
what
long.
happened? Whether you were in the building or not, they want to ask
They
you why
want to know.
did that take so long. Oh well,
And
it's
you should, like you said, a good leadership is ready to explain that. And I think it also is another opportunity for us to be informal leaders, because as a tech on the floor, I should also be able to explain that in a way that my customer can understand. That whatever the case may be, because we could come up with 1,000 scenarios as to why it wasn't ready, but to be able to present that information in a concise way so that they feel heard, but also getting them the product that they need. Because at the end of the day, they're not having that conversation with you because they want to wait longer. That they're having that conversation with you because they need their kit and they need it now.
yeah,
Right?
yeah,
Leslie said trauma hospital life. Yes.
yeah,
It's,
yeah,
it's a
yeah,
non-starter. You just have to get it done.
yeah. Unfortunately, everything can't get done all the
Right?
time.
Everything can.
So then you always have those conversations as to why wasn't this done, or why wasn't this tree done? Why was this tree on the shelf for 2 days? You know,
Oh
so
yeah,
because
definitely.
if you know a certain physician works on Thursdays, you're not going to prioritize those trees. Um, if he works on Mondays
Well,
and
that's a good
Thursdays,
point. And I mean, you said, how do we determine priority? That's a
yeah,
whole other factor, like block scheduling. Like if
yeah,
I know that we do all our ENT surgery on Thursdays and it's Thursday night and I've got total shoulders for tomorrow, I'm not putting up
right,
ENT trays today.
exactly, exactly,
So if the ENT
exactly.
case comes through tomorrow, it's like, ooh, shoot.
You're right. Why was this shit sitting there since Monday? So then like, oh yeah, because we had
Ugh.
Otho. It's fine. You have
Yeah.
to kind of explain that we prioritize what's for the next day. We don't simply just do stuff. So,
Right.
so yeah.
We just do it when we feel like it.
So guys, anything else you want to address? I think we had a
No,
good
thank you
show.
guys for hanging out with
Thank
us
you,
for open mic.
Marie, Leslie. We really appreciate Leslie. We have to have you on. We're gonna try and have Leslie on next week. Interview or the show may be pre-recorded, and then we may post it at that time at our
Yay.
regular scheduled time.
I'm
So we
excited.
may do a half and half pre-recorded, and just to make sure that everything goes through smoothly. And we had a previous conversation with Leslie, so we might do pre-recorded, do some edits, zhuzh it up a little bit,
Zhuzh.
um, zhuzh it up a
I got
little
the
bit.
chance to catch Leslie in the clubhouse a couple weeks ago, and that was really cool.
Yeah,
I
and
liked
we
that.
may do a little. We may do the intro, then segue into Leslie's presentation, which is very very insightful, and end with a live. So we will be on here taking your comments and putting it on, and then we'll be back on live. Maybe to answer any questions or follow up with any comments that you guys have. So
Absolutely.
that'll basically be the format for next week. I also have an interview with OR director coming up soon, which is
Ooh.
very interesting. She actually came up through sterile processing, went into a surgical tech field, then became a nurse, then became an OR manager, and
Oh
now she's a
wow.
director. So she has the full awareness of everything that happens from the ground up. So,
That
I
sounds exciting.
so yeah, so that'll be a good interview, and I will probably have that by next week or somewhere around the time. And also my attention to detail. Alessandra, if you want to join that, I'll probably try something out. Maybe put you on the corner screen or something, but we'll figure things out. We do it always trying to upgrade the show and add new aspects, new little little tricks and stuff. So and new angles. So you know what? I will end the show with my other angle. So let me see, how do I do this? So now I will definitely create a blooper reel because um, I have had so many bloopers in on this show in the past
No.
few months, which which
I'm
is
not ready for the
crazy.
blooper
You're
reel.
not ready for the blooper reel yet?
It's probably gonna consist of us going live and me and being like, I
so
think we're live. Are we
yeah, yeah.
live?
So guys, so
Thank you guys for a great show.
thank you for joining us. Thank you for a great show. And we'll be out in a few seconds. If I could just get
Peace.
you know what? We're missing something. Hold on.